The compact crossover wars is heating up for 2021, and to further add fire to an already competitive segment, Changan Philippines brought in their stunner of a crossover, the CS75 Plus. Does this Lexus RX lookalike have what it takes to put up a good fight? That's what we're here to find out. Let's do this! Hello guys, I'm Reagan and welcome back to another car review. If you're new to my channel, I hope you hit that subscribe button and become part of the Reagan's Rides family. If you're my subscriber already, thank you so much for your support by watching this video. I also hope that you give it a like. Also, special thanks to Changan Manila Bay for this awesome opportunity to feature the Changan CS75 Plus. If you have any inquiries and you're in the area of Changan Manila Bay, you may head on down here and check them out. For any other inquiries, you may also contact the person in my description below. The CS75 Plus made its debut in the 2019 Shanghai Auto Show as an add-on to the existing Changan lineup since the regular CS75 is still available for sale. This CS75 Plus comes in as an enhancement to that regular CS75, and we are quite lucky that it is this CS75 Plus that landed on our shores. This beauty of a crossover is priced competitively at only 1,299,000 Philippine pesos, putting it at the same price level as the top spec 4 Territory Titanium and to a certain extent and after discounts, the Cherry Tiggo 8 Lux EX. Now when you look at the front fascia of the CS75 Plus, you'd wonder if Changan has a technical partnership with Lexus back in China because this front clip looks pretty similar to that of the Lexus RX. There are some similarities in the design cues here, from that inverted sharp spindle-type front grille to the sleek and slim LED headlights and LED DRLs. Now before you accuse the CS75 Plus of copying the Lexus RX, there are some design cues that makes this a totally different animal altogether. The CS75 Plus takes the sporty flavor a notch further with red accents that can be found here on the front bumper, as well as a red letter S that's mounted on the honeycomb front grille. Overall, when you look at this front fascia, it's truly a stunner, guys, and it combines a mix of sleek and muscular styling. The CS75 Plus is many things, but being bland is not one of them. The side profile has enough design cues that it appears borderline busy already. You get the same red S that's found here on the front fender, and it's mounted on top of a strip of carbon fiber. The tops of the windows get a chrome strip as well that ends all the way to the D-pillar. Now you also have a red accent that's found here at the bottom of the doors, and the door handles have some chrome bits that when you put it together makes it appear upscale without looking too blingy. Now another thing that I noticed with these Chinese crossovers is how solid and hefty the doors feel when you close them. Take a listen. That gives you an impression of the build quality and the solidness of these Chinese-made vehicles. Now, another thing that I've noticed is how beautiful the side mirrors are on this CS75 Plus. The side mirrors looks like they could be found in a concept car rather than an actual production vehicle. Now, for your wheels and tires, you get 18-inch wheels in the CS75 Plus, and these are wrapped in 225/60 R18 tires. Behind these wheels, you get 4-wheel disc brakes. And for your suspension setup, you got a MacPherson system up front and a multi-link suspension at the rear end. Ground clearance stands at a healthy 190 millimeters, which is pretty decent for a compact crossover. Now the rear end of the CS75 Plus adds a lot more bling to an overall flashy package. While other car makers are content to put black plastic trimmings on the frames of the rear glass, the CS75 Plus takes it a notch further with these faux carbon fiber trimmings here, and the same material has been used for that rear spoiler. Now, take a closer look at that rear spoiler, guys. You have here your third brake light, but instead of getting a single brake light, well, you get dual third brake lights. So does that mean that this is the third brake light and this is the fourth brake light? Let me know in the comments below. Now, the CS75 Plus also has one of the fanciest looking LED taillights in the crossover segment. You've got here a nice herringbone pattern that cannot be found anywhere else in the planet. Now, aside from those flashy LED taillights, you also get twin functional exhaust pipes, and they are nicely integrated into the rear bumper. When you pop open the manual liftgate, yes, this is a manual liftgate, pretty similar to the other compact crossovers within its price segment. You'll be treated to 620 liters of cargo capacity. Now, that makes it pretty much the class leader in the compact crossover segment. And if you look at the trunk space, you'll see that there are actually a couple of cubby holes on the sides of the trunk, which makes me think that the CS75 Plus was originally meant to be a 7-seater, but the variant that we get here in the country is purely a 5-seater. Now, 620 liters is a lot of space, and I'll show that to you with my luggage test. This is my medium-sized luggage, and let's see. As you can see here, the CS75 Plus trunk easily swallows my medium-sized luggage. You can even put a second one and a third one and a fourth one on top for a complete, well, cargo capacity. Now, if 620 liters is not enough for you, you could tumble down the second row seats, and that will give you 1,450 liters of cargo capacity. Wow! Stylish and functional at the same time. That's really a knockout. The CS75 Plus makes use of the ASEAN-China Free Trade Agreement, and as such, we get a familiar 1.5-liter turbo petrol motor that is pretty similar to other local Chinese car offerings. This engine is good for 177 horses and 265 Newton meters of torque. Now, maximum torque comes in as low as 1,450 RPM, which is a lot of pull in the low end, and it should make the CS75 Plus a pretty capable sprinter. Now, power is sent to the front wheels via a 6-speed automatic transmission, which is another piece of good news because it should make for a smoother shifting action when in stop-and-go traffic, but without the lag that's associated with CVTs. As I mentioned in my Changan launch video, the CS75 Plus is equipped with a luscious red leather cabin that appeals to my obnoxious side. It's loud, it's ostentatious, and I love it. The driver's seat is furnished in red leather and it's power adjustable, but the front passenger will have to make do with manual adjustments. The seats are beautifully designed as well. They look like sport buckets, and they also have a nice perforated finish on its seat back. The steering wheel is also leather wrapped, but you do get some glossy black finishes on the bottom half of the wheel. You also have your usual hands-free buttons for connectivity and also has cruise control. Now, the good news for taller drivers is the steering wheel adjusts for reach and rake. So that should make finding your driving position quite easily. Now, the CS75 Plus has a fantastic looking instrument gauge cluster and infotainment system. You see, we've got two massive LED screens here that have been put together, and it's pretty similar in terms of layout to, let's say, what you can find in the Hyundai Palisade. You have a 7-inch digital instrument gauge cluster here that is really sharp, really colorful in terms of resolution, so it should do quite nicely. This instrument gauge cluster also reminds me of some of the other offerings from other Chinese car brands because, well, the engine temperature gauge and the fuel gauge looks pretty similar to the ones found in the Cherry Tiggo 7 Pro, and the digital cluster also has, well, changing themes. So if you change your theme, the design of the gauges also changes, which is also pretty similar to the ones found in the Ford Territory Titanium. So this tells me that they probably have the same supplier back in China. Now, from your nifty looking instrument gauge cluster there, we move on to your infotainment system, and this is a massive 12-inch infotainment system that doesn't have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto yet. It does have smartphone mirroring and also Bluetooth connectivity, so at least you have that. Plus, I love how they integrated this on the dashboard. It looks really nifty and upscale. Now, the good thing here is you also get a 360-degree view camera. However, the image quality of the camera is a little bit on the low side. It's not as sharp as the ones found in the Geely offerings or even the Cherry Tiggo 7 Pro, but more akin towards the offerings found in another Chinese brand, which is Maxus. From your infotainment system there, you also go down to your climate control system, and this is a touchscreen climate control system, but it's nicely integrated here in the middle dashboard, and it also has haptic feedback whenever you're tinkering around with your climate control system. You also have an engine start button here that looks pretty upscale, especially when you put it together with your climate control area. Now, you don't get a wireless charging pad, which is a bit of a step back when you compare it to its other price level competitors. You do have a single USB port here and a 12-volt power outlet over there. You also have an electronic parking brake button here and a rotary knob for your drive mode selectors, because the CS75 Plus has an eco, a normal, and a sport mode, which is also a piece of good news because at least you have that kind of flexibility. We also have a couple of cup holders here which we will subject to our clean canteen test. So I have my clean canteen here. Let's see if it fits. Bam! Yes, it's a complete pass. It fits. Let's see this other one. Yes, it also passes. So that is a piece of good news. Clean canteen test, it's a pass. Now you also have a nice red leather wrap center armrest here that has a center opening, pretty similar to the ones found in the CX9. And you also have a nifty panoramic sunroof, which is pretty much par for the course for these compact crossovers from China. Now when you look at the overall build quality and the cabin materials used here in the CS75 Plus, I would say that it has a distinct similarity to the cabin of the, well, you guessed it, Lexus RX. Yes, the Lexus RX also comes with a red leather cabin, so it seems that they took inspiration from that premium Japanese luxury crossover maker and transferred it here in the CS75 Plus. The nice thing here though is the touch points are all soft touch. You've got your leather, red leather all around you in the areas where you would be, well, touching the most. You do have some soft plastics here on the top dashboards and the top of the door cards. And the good thing as well is you have a nice aluminum trim that's found on all over the cabin, which ties together with that nice red leather look. It's pretty surprising that we could get this kind of an interior at this price point. Phenomenal, guys. The back seat of the CS75 Plus is quite spacious, but it's not really the class leader when it comes to backseat space. I'm 5'6", guys, and as you can see, this is my driving position. And although I have a good amount of knee room here, I got almost a foot long of knee room. My headroom is a little bit on the cramped side. I got only around 4 inches of headroom before my head touches the headliner. And that's primarily because, well, the CS75 Plus has a sleek styling to it, and it also has a panoramic sunroof. However, if you'd like to fit 3 average size adults here in the back seat, that's not going to be a problem. The seats are actually quite flat, although they have a nice design to it, and they're also wrapped in red leather. And your center tunnel is also flat, so that should give the middle person a lot of space and room to park their feet. Now for toys, you don't really get that much toys. You do have some, but not too much. You have a couple of rear AC vents here. That's also a good thing because we live in a tropical country. And we have a solo USB port there. So that means the people at the back seat will have to fight over that solo USB port in case their devices are running out of juice. Now you also have a center armrest here, which curiously enough doesn't have cup holders. Yeah, it's very soft though. See, as you could see, this thing is super soft, but it doesn't have cup holders, so I don't really know why they omitted that. We also have ISOFIX anchors here, and aside from that, guys, well, of course, you have your panoramic sunroof, so that should give you a really nice, airy feeling here in the back seat. Now, it's that time of the video. We hop back into the driver's seat and take the CS75 Plus out for a drive just to see how it performs on the road. Now, before we go on our drive impression, here's a word from Changan Manila Bay.
Hi, welcome to Changan Manila Bay, here at Macapagal Boulevard, Corner Hill Puyat, Pasay City.
If you want to have a test drive, you can book online, so you can have a feel and touch of the unit. So just book online and message us in the contact details below.
All right, thank you so much, Sir Lyndon and Ma'am Chris. That was a word from Changan Manila Bay. Now we are behind the wheel of the CS75 Plus, and the first thing that I noticed is the hood line is a little bit on the tall side. The hood bulges up a little bit more than usual, so it feels like you're driving a vehicle that has a supercharged V8 under the hood. But of course, we know that's not the case when it comes to the CS75 Plus. But yes, that's the first thing that I noticed with this. It's not really a big issue though when it comes to visibility, because the visibility of the CS75 Plus is pretty average for a compact crossover. I got good sideways visibility, and the windshield isn't really too raked back. So yeah, I got a good average amount of visibility up front. Now when it comes to seat comfort, I noticed that the seats are, well, they're quite comfortable, they're well cushioned, but they do have some pretty aggressive bolstering towards the sides of my body as well as my thighs. So these are pretty sporty seats, and while they will be okay for, let's say, an average Asian like myself, if you are a little bit bigger than I am, then these bolsters might pinch a little bit on your love handles. Now when it comes to the steering feel, the good thing about the CS75 Plus is you have custom settings that you can change the steering heft, the feedback, and even the transmission's response. So right now, as you'd expect guys, I have it on full sport mode. The steering is in heavy and I'm also in sport, so yes, I could feel a little bit of heft. It feels more like a hydraulic power assist system rather than that of an electric power assist system. The good thing though is when it comes to the steering geometry, it's pretty sharp. Response is pretty good. It's not as vague as some of the other compact crossovers out there in the market. In fact, I'd even go as far as saying that this pretty much compares to the same steering systems that are found in Mazdas. And that's saying a lot, guys. Now when it comes to ergonomics, if you look at the cabin, the cockpit, you have a driver-centric cockpit right here. Everything is oriented towards the driver, almost to a point that you're already, well, boxing out the front passenger. And everything falls in proper place. It feels quite easy to drive, especially if you're just toodling around town. It's not going to be a crossover that would fight you whenever you're taking it out for a drive. So that's also a good thing. Alright, now we have a wide open road up ahead and we're going to give it a go. We're in sport mode. Let's go. Alright, you could hear the engine sound roaring like you have a supercharged V8. Not really. But in terms of acceleration, it's not seat in your pants type of acceleration. It's decent enough, it's fast enough, you won't be caught hanging, with your pants hanging down, but yes, it's okay. Not really as wow bilis pare as some of the other compact crossovers, namely like something like the Geely Cool Ray, but it's in fact decent enough. Now, another good thing about the CS75 Plus is the NVH levels. For a crossover that looks pretty similar to a Lexus RX, the NVH levels almost matches that of that premium Japanese luxury crossover. I mean, you don't hear too much road noise outside and the tires are pretty quiet, although I didn't have a chance to really take this out on the highway, but even in this parking lot speed, I could already tell that it's a very refined and composed crossover. Now when it comes to safety, the CS75 Plus also delivers. Aside from just dual airbags, you also get side airbags. You also have curtain airbags. And when it comes to your safety electronic bits, you have hill descent control, hill ascent assist or hill start assist, and you have ABS with EBD, you have traction control, and you also have your 360-degree view camera. And of course, let's not forget to mention Kako's favorite safety instrument, ISOFIX anchors. Now overall guys, the CS75 Plus delivers a stylish and refined ride in your compact crossover. This premium crossover is really something else. It's a complete package. It gives decent acceleration, it gives fantastic levels of NVH, and it does so in a suit that makes you feel like you're like James Bond, because wow, this CS75 Plus, it's truly a gorgeous crossover. The CS75 Plus is proof that Chinese crossovers has come a long way in the past 10 years. This crossover is also further proof that you don't have to pay an arm and a leg to access premium features that were previously reserved for the elite class. Thanks for watching. It will be okay for, let's say, an average Asian like myself. If you are a little bit bigger than I am, then these bolsters might pinch a little bit on your love handles. Cut.
Kaya, pigil yung tao ko.